You get a free credit card offer in the mail, and they always describe all these really cool things that I could buy if I had that credit card. But I've noticed in these credit card application forms and all of the promotional material, there's one word that's never used. It is the word debt. You will never find the word debt anywhere in a credit card promotion. So I decided there must be a reason for this. So I looked up in Roget's Thesaurus the synonyms for debt. Let me read them to you. Debt means to owe, obligated, liable, in debt, in default, insolvent, encumbered, in over one's head, tied up, out of pocket, in arrears, indigent, pauper, destitute, penniless, needy, lacking, distressed, in difficulty, a deadbeat, and having wolf at the door. Living hand to mouth, beggarly, emptied, having seen better days, gone to the dogs, racked and ruined, impoverished, bad off, hard up, beaten down, reduced to ruin. Debt means fleeced, stripped, bereft, bereaved, reduced, unable to make ends meet, embarrassed, broke, and busted. Now, if that was spelled out in what you were signing up for, would you have second thoughts about applying for credit? Yes, you would. Now, I want to welcome you to day 2 of Saddleback's Financial Freedom Seminar. By the way, we had over 4,000 people who watched online last night, along with those of you who are here this morning. So I'm very glad about that. Today, in this morning sessions, we've got 5 sessions, we're going to talk about how to get out of debt. Now, we live in a culture that is built on the idea of instant gratification. And all of our problems come from this inability to delay gratification. I want it, and I want it now, even if I can't afford it. I want it now, even if I can't, even if I've lived beyond my means to get it. This buy now, pay later mentality has not only got all of us in hawk, but it's got all of the government in hawk, and now the world. Debt, the Bible says, in debt, the borrower is servant to the lender. You might write this verse down. Proverbs 22, verse 7 says, the borrower is servant or a slave to the lender. That means that debt is a trap. When you get in debt, you lose your freedom. Many of you, if God told you, I want you to pick up everything and go do this at a certain place at a certain time, you couldn't do it because you're in so much debt. And in over your head, you've got all these entanglements. You couldn't just turn on a dime and leave. So the Bible talks about debt as a trap. And what I want to do this morning is quickly, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, is give you 9 signs that you're in the debt trap. And then I want to spend more time on 9 steps to getting out of debt. So if you pull out that outline on becoming debt-free, there are 9 danger signs. You know, every Monday night at the Warren household for now well over 30 years, we have family night. And we often, one of the things we'll do is we'll rent a video. And of course, when the kids were growing up, there weren't that many PG movies that were worth watching. So one night we got this movie based on the old series Lost in Space. Do you remember Lost in Space? Okay. And do you remember that there was a robot in Lost in Space, a very cheesy, really poor special effects. And actually, when this movie came out, Siskel and Ebert called it one of the worst movies ever made. But I remember watching it, and the funny part is that all throughout the movie, this robot says, "Danger, Will Robinson." Do you remember that? Danger, Will Robinson. And really, you need a debt robot in your life. That every time you start to spend money, they're saying to you, danger, danger, watch out, because you're about to fall into the debt trap. Now, how do you know when you're in the debt trap? Let me give you 9 very quick signs. Number 1, when you're living on credit instead of paying cash. When you're living on credit instead of paying cash, you should pay cash for everything, unless it is an appreciating item. Now, the Bible tells us, I'm going to need one of the outlines. Somebody got an outline for me? Who's got an outline? Hang on just a minute. Thank you. All right, and let's get you one. Let's hear it for this great sacrificial service here. All right, let's get you another one. Look at this verse together. Proverbs 3:27 and 28. Let's read it aloud together. Don't withhold payment of your debts. Don't say some other time if you can pay now. Now, if you depend on credit to maintain your lifestyle, it's real simple, friends. You're spending too much. If you have to depend on credit to maintain your lifestyle, danger, Will Robinson. You are spending too much. How do you know if you're living on credit? Here's how you know. Your balance is increasing every month. If your balance is increasing every month, you are already enslaved in debt. And you need to get out of it quick, fast, as much as you can. Now, there's two problems with buying on credit. Number one is it shows a lack of contentment. I got to have it now. And the Bible says contentment is a key quality of the Christian, and we're going to talk about it this weekend. And the other is it presumes on the future. You are presuming on the future that you can pay it back. And the Bible says, don't think about tomorrow in terms of presuming upon it. You ought to plan for tomorrow, but you shouldn't presume upon tomorrow. You say, well, I'll be able to pay it back. Well, you don't know. The Bible says in Proverbs 27:1, it says this, don't brag about tomorrow because you don't know what may happen. Now, study after study after study has shown that if you use credit in a store, you're going to, on average, spend 23% more than you would have going into that store. That if you use credit, you're going to spend 23% more. And credit makes it so easy to buy non-essentials, things that just aren't there. If you have to pay cash, you're not going to spend as much. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but it's fun to spend money. It's fun. It's why people like to go shopping. It's fun to spend money. It's even more fun to spend money you don't have. And there's a rush that goes with it. But when you're living on credit instead of paying cash, you're already in the debt trap. Number two, delaying payments or paying the minimum due. That's a sign that you're in the debt trap and that you need to get out of it as quick as you can. Delaying payments or paying the minimum due. Now, if you're missing payments, or you're making late payments, or you're paying the minimum payment, then you're in the debt trap. If you find yourself under tension over money, you're in the debt trap. If you ever have checks that frequently bounce over insufficient funds, you're in the debt trap. If you dip into reserves to pay current bills, you're in the debt trap. These are all red flags, and the Bible says in Romans 13:8, let no debt remain outstanding. Number three, when you are unable to tithe or save. If I am unable to tithe or I'm unable to save, I'm already in the debt trap. Now, we talked about this last night, that God takes tithing very seriously. In fact, in Malachi 3, he says, will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how do we rob you? And God says, in tithes and offerings. If I'm not tithing or if I'm not saving, both of those are very extremely important. If I'm not tithing and if I'm not saving, I'm spending too much. That's the problem. I'm spending too much. Now, the Bible says in Proverbs 21:20, the wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets. Number four, fourth sign of I'm in the debt trap, unable to pay my taxes. When I'm unable to pay my taxes, then I'm already in the debt trap. And Matthew 22, verse 21 says this, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. Unable to pay taxes. Number five, the fifth sign that I'm in the debt trap is extravagant spending. Extravagant spending. Now, this particularly happens at Christmas time. I think I told you that when the catalogs start coming in at Christmas, I decided I would start saving them. And actually got the first one in August. And it was a Mrs. Fields cookie catalog. Obviously, they had me pegged for target marketing. Okay. Now, later on, they kind of missed it. I got an American Doll catalog and a bunch of others. But when I added them all up during the Christmas season, I had a stack this tall. It was over 7.5 pounds. No, excuse me, more than that. I think it was about 40 pounds, now that I think about it, of all the catalogs that I had collected simply at Christmas. And when you get a catalog, you didn't realize that you couldn't live without what was in there. You know, how did I ever live without that? And that is the goal of advertising, to help you see what you don't think you need, and now you know you have to have it. I mean, they even now have these catalogs for people who have everything. Have you seen these? You know, it's like, who really needs a $200 nose hair clipper? I mean, if you can afford a $200 nose hair clipper, you are wasting money. Okay, you really don't know how to handle it. Now, when you buy things, listen to this. When you buy things just because you have the money, watch out. I told you last weekend, you know, I've got the money to buy any car that I could possibly want to buy. But I haven't made a car payment in 10 years. Why? Because I paid cash for a car that I could afford. It was a Ford 10 years ago, and I'm still driving it. And my 10-year-old Ford gets me wherever I need to go without any car payments. And the longer you hold on to a car, the less it costs you to operate it. The biggest problem that people buy into is that you have to have a new car every 2 or 3 years. Well, that's just a myth.